We will now begin the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency's meeting today, Monday, October 7, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise for an invocation by Minister Janine Rumpf of St. John Missionary Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Amen. Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for allowing us to come together one more time. We thank you, God, that you are awesome, that you are mighty, and you are ever-present help. We ask you, Father, to look upon this agenda that is already printed before us on tonight. For your word says, where two or three are gathered, you'll be in the midst of us. So we thank you on tonight. We thank you for every person that is present on tonight. We ask you, Father, to let us not leave without knowing exactly what you will allow us to do and allow us to say and allow us to be. And we'll give you all the glory and the honor is our prayer we pray in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Grant.
Here.
Vice Chair Katz.
He is absent.
Board Member Pinsurga.
Here.
Board Member Romulus. Present. Board Member McCrae.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. I'd like to remind the audience to please silence or turn off your phones. And may I have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, agenda is approved unanimously. Legal, I believe you have an update to us on a memo.
Yes, so that is under the item that it's associated with. So
Okay.
if you'd like me to discuss it now, I can, or we can wait till
We'll hear your comments before we discuss that item. That is
Okay.
tabled.
I do have one other comment as well.
Yes.
Just beginning October 1st, as a result of those legislative changes, the CRA's procurement is now using the same procedures as the city, except that they'll obviously run through the CRA departments as appropriate and not the city departments.
So anything over $25,000, we have to bid it out?
Well, the CRA always had $25,000 as part of your policy. 35 is actually the statutory cap, and so the CRA will use that now as well as all other procurement that applies to the city.
Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me, say that slow now in layman's term, okay?
Sure.
You're railing and your microphone is not high enough for me.
Is that better?
Better.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. So until October 1st, CRAs did not have to follow the same procurement procedures as most other local governments. As of October 1st, they now do, and that includes that when certain purchases exceed a cap of $35,000, you have to bid it out.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Board Member McCrae.
Thank you. I have no information on items at this time and no disclosures at this time.
All right. Board Member Romulus.
Also have nothing to disclose.
Board Member Pinsurga.
I have no disclosures, but I do want to congratulate our board chair and mayor on the beautiful announcement of the child. So wishing you all the best along with the first lady. Jenna.
Well, thank you. And I spoke with representatives of Coastal QSR and Community Caring Center of Greater Boynton Beach before the meeting tonight.
Board chair?
Yes.
I forgot to mention I did speak with the Community Caring Kitchen.
Okay. Any other discussion? Nope. Seeing none, moving on to announcements and awards. I believe item 7A, our Lord Governor got shipwrecked or lost at sea. So we will move on to item 7B.
Tracy Smith Coffee, Marketing and Business Development. I am announcing that we have received, hold on, I'm getting my notes, so I thought I was third on the list.
Really second on the list.
Okay. We have received 6 international awards from the festivals and events, international festivals and events. The conference took place in Williamsburg. We couldn't make it because we were in the middle of planning for Pirate Fest right now. But the awards that we won are, we won a gold for the Pirate Fest event map and schedule. We won a gold for the Holiday Boat Parade Calling All Captains ad that was in the Delray newspaper. We won a gold for the best photo for Pirate Fest. We won a gold for the PTV campaign that we did last year. We received a silver for the Blarney Bash outdoor billboard, and we received a bronze for our annual report. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you. It's awesome.
I don't have any questions, but you said that y'all was in the middle of planning for Pirate Fest, nobody could go?
Is there what? I'm sorry.
You said that you all was in the middle of planning for Pirate Fest.
Yeah, we're in the middle of planning.
And no one can attend. I
Right.
kind of feel that difficult to believe. I'm just saying, it don't take everybody to plan for Pirate Fest. I'm just saying, how long was the event?
Well, maybe next year we can.
Excuse me, how long was the event?
How long is the what?
How long was the event that you all would have been away?
It's a 4-day conference, and this year it was in Williamsburg, Virginia. They do it all over the country.
Oh, okay, I'm just saying, for me, that's poor representation of this city.
It was from September 25th to the 27th.
We did not attend.
Correct.
I know you all did not
Like
attend,
for us
but I'm
to
saying that someone should have went, to represent this city.
So the question is that, you bring us information regarding the Florida Redevelopment Association. If no one else can come to these conferences, if one of the board members want to choose this as their conference.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have the Florida and we have the international. We attended the Florida and we did not attend the international. So we made a choice between one of the two. But next year we'll make sure that the board knows about both of them, and you're welcome to attend in our place.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Mercedes, the Lord Governor has arrived.
Good evening, Board. Mercedes Coppin, Business Promotions and Events Manager. Tonight, we will present you with the official proclamation for this year's Boynton Beach Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash. And without further ado, I give you the Lord Governor Hyde.
Greetings and oh my, that sounds like the voice of God. Greetings and felicitations to all of you. It's good to see you all. Sorry I was waylaid by pirates. They're not going to be bothering anyone anymore. Very well. I have a short passage in the book, Tales from the Sea, which happens to be the theme of this year's Pirate Fest. According to this book, long ago in 1898, on a dark and stormy night, the crew of the Loftus, a ship thereof, wrecked off the coast of Boynton Beach. While the crewmen lay dormant for over 100 years, something from the deep blue awakened them from their dreary slumber. With ghostly chimes, the ghastly-clad pirates arose and came ashore to pillage and plunder the city streets. Legend has it that the pirates will return to Boynton Beach this year on October 26th and 27th for what has become known as the Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash. Applause. As the pirates prepare for their yearly invasion, the area surrounding East Ocean Avenue in downtown Boynton Beach is miraculously transformed into Hobbs Cove, a shanty town reminiscent of the old world with wooden pirate ships, armored encampments, authentic cannons, and an enchanted market. Alluring melodies ring out from Melandia, where enchanting mermaids invite all the townspeople to meet and greet them inside of their lagoon. The scuttlebutt has it that this year the pirates and a variety of mythical creatures will invade downtown to bring to life tales from the sea, as I said, stories that tell of the enchantment and mystery of the deep blue sea. Come immerse yourself into the charming and adventurous world of mermaids and pirates, where lively music will fill the streets, dangerous stunt shows will shock and awe, a variety of libations, one of my favorites, and sustenances will please the palate, and youngsters will be amused by the magic and mayhem of all of it, all throughout the town. Townsmen and ladies should come dressed in their finest attire for a character to collect some pirate booty. Dig up more information about this free and amazing festival at bbpiratefest.com, whatever that is. Very well, thank you so much. And I wish you all a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lord Governor Hyde, for that spirited announcement. Our team would like to share some new initiatives that we've been working on as far as business development goes for Pirate Fest, and Tracy will speak on that.
Tracy Smith Coffee, Marketing and Business Development. This year again, we have partnered with Due South, and we will have Pirates Rebellion at the event again this year. And we've also, as the business development initiative, we've also partnered with 6 businesses in our district: Two Georges, Banana Boat, Hurricane Alley, the Fish Depot, Driftwood, and Deep Ocean Reef. And they will be on tap. Pirates Rebellion will be on tap for the month of October in their restaurants. And we have a little video of our PTV for you to watch about Pirates Rebellion.
Welcome back to PTV, the official news channel for the Boynton Beach Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash. I'm Mercedes, the Pirate Fest maven. The event is quickly approaching, and once again, there's been another character sighting. This time, mermaids have been seen at the Two Georges Waterfront Grill. We now go live to Jamil. Curly Q's on it.
Mercedes, I'm here in Boynton Beach at the Two Georges Waterfront Grill, where there is quite the frenzy over real live mermaid sightings. No joke. Currently, right now, there are 2 mermaids hanging out at the patio bar. Let's go find out why they've surfaced. Well, hello there! Hello! It is so crazy to see 2 mer friends just chilling at a bar. What in the shell are you doing here?
Well, we were just so thirsty that we had to surface to quench our thirst.
Wait, you came out of the water to get a drink?
That's right. We were swimming along the shore when some pirates told us that we needed to come to Boynton Beach to try the Pirates Rebellion.
Pirates Rebellion? What's that?
Well, according to the Tales of the Sea, this delectable drink is a custom craft beer that was created by Due South Brewing Company specifically for the Boynton Beach Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash.
Wait a minute, you guys came all the way up here for beer?
It's not just any beer. It's the official beer of the festival, and it will be available on tap in bars and restaurants at the end of September.
Okay, so I know that the festival is in downtown Boynton Beach on October 26th and 27th, right?
That's correct. And these cans of Pirates Rebellion will be available exclusively at the festival.
Alrighty, got it. So you heard it there first. Pirates Rebellion will be available on tap prior to the event, and then during the event, it'll be available in these nifty cans. So swim on over to your favorite watering hole so you can try out these delicious craft beers. Reporting in Boynton Beach, Jamil Curly Q. Dunnett, PTV.
The pirates are coming.
And the mermaids are coming too.
Thank you, Jamil. Beer fans, rejoice with me by heading over to your favorite local watering hole for a taste of the Pirates Rebellion. Be sure to visit bbpiratefest.com for a listing of all the local restaurants and bars that will feature this exclusive craft beer on tap. And remember, the beer will be available exclusively in cans at this year's Pirate Fest. Until next time, yo ho ho!
Do you have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
I'm just curious if Azim grew that beard specifically for this role.
Yeah, that's his cameo.
Dying to know.
He's been working on it.
Yeah,
Been working on it?
He practiced.
Very nice.
Do we have samples of Pirates Rebellion? No samples?
No samples.
We don't have any right now, but we can have them to you, yes.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
At the festival.
Yes.
Come see me.
That's considered a libation, okay? Make sure you get some.
Any other questions or comments?
Job well done.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our last announcement and award is the Ocean Breeze East groundbreaking and Sarah Sims Park ribbon cutting ceremony on Saturday, November 9th, 2019.
Yes, so we are currently planning for the festivities to take place on Saturday, November 9th at 11:30 a.m. We will have the groundbreaking celebration for the Ocean Breeze East project. The celebration will initiate the development of the 4.4 acre site located at 700 North Seacrest Boulevard. Once completed, this property will be a multi-family rental apartment community with 123 units. Directly following that groundbreaking, we will celebrate the grand opening of the recently renovated Sarah Sims Park with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. There will be live music, complimentary hot dogs and hamburgers provided by Christ Fellowship, and a variety of fun activities for the entire family. I have placed some promotional flyers on the back table for this event. Any questions? Yes, sir?
My question is, have we placed some out in the community?
Well, it went out in the utility bill for this month, and I'm not, Tracy, have we circulated?
We will be putting the flyers out in the community within the next week. And it's going to go to the churches and all the city hall and all the city buildings as well. We did put the flyer in the utility bill. It started at the end of September, and it's going to make the full cycle. And we're also doing social media posts as well.
Make sure you get some at Bill's and also at Rainbow City. I'm just saying, you know, although we might not consider them, you know, top notch, but after all, people visit those, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I just want to add that the NOP officers did come and pick up some of those flyers, and they are distributing them throughout the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
Yep.
So I've gotten a lot of phone calls regarding the Ocean Breeze Ease project and where people can go if they want to start getting in line or signing up for the affordable rental units. What can they do? What information can we give out to help facilitate that?
I will defer that to executive staff.
We've been taking names of those that are forwarded to the office and sending it to Centennial. Centennial will be handling that once they get their construction fence up and they start the project itself. I will imagine that at the groundbreaking and afterward, they'll have I think a more rigid plan in place for taking those names. But they have the ones that we have received calls from now, or those that you have sent to us. There will be a preference within the regulations of the Florida Housing Finance Corporation funding to provide a priority to the CRA and Boynton Beach resident within the allowable restriction. But as soon as we have been pressing as staff to get that information, I am sure that there are many more on a list now than our units available, but we want to make sure that everybody that calls us gets to them. So that's what we've been doing, is just forward them directly to them.
I thank you for sharing that information with me as well, because people have been asking me as well, and I haven't had anything to tell them, but I'm just saying they feel like this first come, first served basis, and I'm just saying it's nice to know now. I'm just saying, you know, thank you, Board Member Romulus, for asking that question, because I was in the dark until just then.
It's okay. We were asked to find out what they're doing, and we have been asking, and we don't have an official organizational structure for taking those names, so we as staff have just continued when people call, or if they hear about it in the paper, and we've just been taking those names and creating our own list. But anybody that asks, please send them to us.
It's nice to know we refer them to the CRA.
Very good.
That's what we need to hear. Thank
you.
you.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to, there's no information. Moving on to public comments. Individual speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. Presenting this once again. I've left copies over here, reminding everyone about our Farindola events. Farindola, Italy will be our new sister city by the end of November. 3 of the events are occurring in the CRA district, so I hope CRA will help us out by doing some likes and shares and stuff on social media. Our first event is Wednesday, October 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30. It will be at Fire Station 5. Our second event is Painting with an Italian Twist. And it's at Painting with a Twist on Sunday, November 3rd from 3 to 5. We've got Festa Italiana, which is one of the CRA businesses, That's Amore, that's sponsoring this event. It's on Friday, November 25th from 5:30 to 10. We're actually asking for our commissioners to come out at 5 o'clock, though, because they're getting some multicultural organization, their officials out, and we're going to, at 5 o'clock, and try and get the press out so we can do a meet and greet between everybody and do what we need to do before her event starts at full force. And then, of course, we have our official Sister Cities signing event, which will be later that evening, Friday, November 29th, from approximately 8:15 to 10 p.m. at Benvenuto's. And I hope everyone's able to come. I passed these flyers out at the commission meeting. I have more over here because I know I need to get them to Mike and Twee and the clerk. But you guys already have them. If you want more, I have more over here. You have a confused look on your face, Board Member McCray.
Yeah, I'm not confused. I'm trying to find out why did we pick a fire station for the first event? Can you?
Actually, it's Board Member Penserga's idea. It's a wonderful idea because it's someplace that people will want to go because they don't normally get to go to a fire station. So it's cool and unique. We also had issues trying to get other locations that would be big enough. And, finding that sweet spot on event locations is not as easy as we want it to be. Yay, we can't get this town square stuff open up soon enough.
Thank you. You answered my question.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Susan?
Yes.
If you could just do me a favor, I believe you have already, but I didn't know about the November 29th date, so if you can just send...
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I believe you sent an email already with some of these events, but I didn't know about the November 29th date, so if you can send an email with all the dates so that way we can add them to the calendar, because I don't have some of those dates on my calendar.
No problem. I included it on the email I sent last night, but I'll send another one. Thank you for asking. And do you want another brochure, or is the first one enough?
Send it electronically.
No problem.
For me. If it's on my calendar, it exists. If not,
Great.
it doesn't. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else like to speak for public comments? Seeing none, we're moving on to item 10, CRA Projects in Progress, CRA Economic Development Grant Fiscal Year 2018-2019 Year-End Report.
Yes, Board Chair and Board members, we just wanted to bring to your attention at the close of the fiscal year, which was on September 30th, 2019, that we assisted 13 businesses and added over 15,000, almost 16,000 square feet of new retail, restaurant, and professional office space within the CRA area. That was with the commercial rent subsidy and commercial improvement grants. Additional 4 existing businesses were able to expand or make facade improvements that total over 26,000 square feet of commercial space. So as you can see, that's almost 40,000 square feet of space that you're affecting. The board has approved $150,000 in commercial rent reimbursement grants and $196,000 in commercial property improvement grants. We've provided before and after pictures. We have, as a result of the last meeting, the September meeting, we have given out $345,000 in grants and have a balance of about just under $200,000 that is rolling forward into this year's grant total for new businesses to apply and get that out onto the street. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Board, seeing no questions, let's move on to item 10B, Palm Beach County Housing Authority Project Update.
Yes, Board, this, you'll remember that the board had directed staff and the city manager to work together with the staff and the executive director of the Palm Beach County Housing Authority over the past 6 months or so after sending a letter of interest and request that something be done with the properties, the 4 lots particularly, that they own in the northwest section just on the south side of the canal there behind the Carolyn Sims Center and Poinciana, back in the corner next to 95. And I think there's a total of about 38 lots that they own now that are vacant. We did meet with the executive director and two of their board members on September 20th. And then we had a second meeting on October 3rd with both the city staff and CRA staff and Larry Greenberg from the Housing Authority, trying to, again, discuss what potential options are available to the Housing Authority and or the city/CRA if redevelopment of housing could be done through the Housing Authority. And we have on screen now all of the lots that are blocked in red are the lots that are owned by the Housing Authority. The one yellow block is owned by the CRA. Those 4 lots were the 4 initial lots on Northwest 12th Avenue that we had requested they prioritize, or kind of, because we have the lot next to them, we'd really like them to take a special interest in those and not try to overwhelm them with a request for all. But as the federal government goes and subsidiaries of HUD, if you will, or divisions of HUD, there is a process for disposal that involves the Miami office, and then up the chain there is a disposal application that Mr. Greenberg said that he is bringing forward to the Palm Beach County Housing Authority Board. The next steps, if you will, they hope to have something in the next 90 to 120 days, some response to their formal disposition application. Essentially, they're asking the HUD office, we have these lots, there are some things that we can do with them, there are interested parties, kind of a plan for disposal, and that would involve, obviously, affordable housing, which is the charge of the Housing Authority and the CRA under statute. We are planning a meeting with both the CDC and the Housing Authority, along with the CDC, Habitat, and the Palm Beach County Housing Authority staff to have a discussion again on just what different types of housing is acceptable under the code, and help them and Larry Greenberg with the plan and the application. But at this point, I think that's a pretty good summary. There's no action items for the board. There's no action item for staff other than to continue providing them information. City staff was very helpful in talking about the type of housing that the land use and zoning would allow. And we were all getting creative, I think, with different ideas and how to put those lots together. But we are pushing forward, and hopefully in the next 120 days we'll have something more definitive to report back.
Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. On the sign-in sheet, Assistant Director Mrs. Schutz, you signed in as PBCHA. Check the sign-in sheet they got on the PBCHA. I'm trying to find out why you did not sign in as Boynton Beach CRA. You're the last person.
I'll have to. Shouldn't be. I'm so sorry.
I just want to know, did you get a new job? I'm just trying to,
I wasn't looking. You caught me. I'm so sorry. I probably just followed down.
Yeah.
No problem.
That is my
It is.
I can just tell because of the lettering.
No problem.
Yeah, okay. The name of the organization was mentioned quite a bit in the meeting, probably.
I was taking notes at the same time.
I understand.
Right. Any other questions from the board?
So right now, we're probably about a good 120 days from just a next step, is what you're saying.
They're gonna look to finalizing the application to HUD towards the end of this year, but they're gonna look at all the necessary steps to do so after gathering the information from the city and the CRA.
I just want to make sure that we don't let up and we keep following through on them as well as they try to do this whole red tape government stuff.
Mm-hmm. We are, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, moving to item 10C, Historic Women's Club of Boynton Beach update.
Yes, Twee Schutt, Assistant Director for the Boynton CRA, for the record. At your July 9th meeting, the board approved the contract with Specialized Property Services for the repainting of the interior, as well as waterproofing of the facility. These are minor repair cosmetic work. The board also approved 2 painting color schemes. This is just a status report to let you see what a phenomenal job the company's done to this. And if you recall, they were not the lowest, but they had the most historic preservation experience. They provided us in the beginning how they're going to sequence it. We were concerned because of the storm events, towards the end of September, October. We usually have active storm events, and how they would do this. So the way they did it was they wanted to do the upstairs first, then the second floor and the interior, and then leaving the exterior work towards the end of the hurricane season. As you know, today and tomorrow was slated to be when they're going to paint the outside. As you can see, it'll probably be delayed a couple days. But these are just examples, and I do apologize. The last picture was flipped at the end. Maybe when I converted it to that, I forgot to just flip it. But these are before and after shots. It's amazing what a coat of paint and patchwork can be done. There were a lot of windows that were dilapidated. The muntins, the vertical and horizontal frame portion had to be totally replaced. That was done previously by Hardnet Building Group, just to give them some credit for that as well. This is the upstairs stairwell. It was such a mess. There was some water penetration. There was that seeped down to the ground, and so we had to have them all redo and sand it down. And then there were, plaster that was basically spalling from different places because of the re-roofing. The building breathes as the weight of the tile gets lifted off, the old tile and the new tile gets in there. So you do have some kind of building flex within the building. There was mold based on where the stairwell was, where there was water penetration there, so it went all the way down. So we had to replace all the drywall in that area. And so you can see right now they've got pretty much most of the interior paint done. There's some prep work that needs to be done for the outside, but they're working on the flooring to repair and patching the flooring. So you can see the floor has been sanded down, and then they'll be staining it and putting the coating, the polyurethane coating on that. So we're expecting this to be done towards the beginning of November. We hope this will be all closed out by the end of this year, and that we can get the second disbursement of our Solid Waste Authority grant for the repainting by the end of this year. So there was $66,000 going towards the repainting of this facility. If there's any questions, yes.
You mentioned the mold, and obviously the mold travels in the air. Have you examined already the ventilation system?
Well, the mold was from the water seepage in that stairwell. We had mold, testing done prior to all this work, and it was all replaced. All the drywall that was there has been replaced. It is our wish that once this is done, we can start activating the building in the beginning of next year. We're having inquiries already for booking the building, and we're hoping to fully market this place so that we know how much revenue, as well as open it up for the public so they can see what a beautiful building this is.
Sounds good.
Any other board member? McCray.
Thank you. I want to thank you for the before and after pictures. Job well done.
Thank you. They've done a fabulous job. Yes. And so is Twee and Teresa.
Yep. Our next item is D, CRA Marketing and Business Development Project Update.
Tracy Smith Coffee, Marketing and Business Development. We had a few marketing campaigns that we did for the marina. We are right now doing a campaign for the dockage space available for transient travelers. And we started our campaign in the Marina Life magazine. I spoke with Brian Smith, the dock master, and we decided with Mike that the transient dockage space is bringing the marina some money to the marina, so we're going to be marketing that in the next couple months for the dockage space. And the theme is the weather is here, meaning it's going to be really nice coming up, not hot, nice weather. So that's our Boynton Harbor Marina marketing campaign for the next few months. And then Discover the Palm Beaches reached out to the city and myself and asked for some ideas for a blog. So we gave them some ideas of our businesses for the fitness blog that they put out, the Fitness and Fun in Boynton Beach. And the Boynton Beach parasailing was highlighted in the blog. And the Soul Oasis Spa was also highlighted. And also we had the Boynton Harbor Marina was part of that blog. And that went out on their website, on Discover the Palm Beaches website. And we have the Driftwood Campaign. This campaign is following the Marina, Rock the Marina campaign that we did for the winner of the lionfish dip contest. And we did a month-long campaign for them on social media, and that was their prize that they won. We did a month-long promotion for them, and these were the different promotions in the packet. And we also did a blog post for them as well. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Yes,
I
Board
don't have
Member
any
McCray.
questions about that, but when you said the marina and transient, it did jog my memory. And the reason it jogged my memory was that I was on the TV. I got it from the newspaper somewhere about that was somebody wanted to use our get gas or something, and that was a problem. Anybody remember that? Well, has that been resolved?
Yes, sir.
What was the problem?
There was communication between a resident boat owner and the fuel dock staff on where they could put their boat and where they couldn't, and it was a misunderstanding, I guess, on both people's part. So it's, as far as I know, it's been resolved. There's nothing else that we can do.
I'd like to hear just positive things, but I know people will hear negative things, but as long as it's been, corrected,
Yes.
Thank you for your report. But
Okay.
Last project in more. We got item E, fiscal year 2018-19 update for the nonprofit organization grant agreement with Habitat for Humanity of South Palm Beach County.
Yes, Tweesha for the record. This is an update of the first quarter reimbursement for the 2018-19 nonprofit organization grant. This is the first disbursement for the $75,000 that the Habitat for Humanity of South Palm Beach County has received. Attached in your board attachment are all the supportive material that staff has reviewed, as well as the compliance review. They have met the requirement pursuant to the grant agreement and per board direction. We issued the grant reimbursement last week, or actually 2 weeks ago. And it's just reporting and let the board know where they are. So we're going to keep doing this every quarter as we review it and as we approve the reimbursement for Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Moving on to item F, social media outreach program, fourth quarterly report.
Good evening, board. Renee Roberts, social media and communications specialist for the CRA. This quarter, there are 74 businesses currently registered in the SMOP program. 7 new businesses were added this quarter. 131 total businesses have been visited in the CRA district, and 33 businesses were visited in this quarter. You can go to the next slide. Our Beat the Heat campaign just wrapped up in September. This was a continuation from last year. So we started it on June 3rd on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the goal was to help promote CRA businesses throughout the summer months and engage our audience. You can go to the next slide. So we used uniquely branded content to share the campaign across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Not only did we use these graphics, but also we provided these graphics to our businesses. The CRA also published print ads in the Delray newspaper, Gateway Gazette, and Neighborhood News, encouraging people to beat the heat by visiting local restaurants and using our hashtag. Here are some results from the analytics from the 2019 Beat the Heat campaign. So on Facebook, we reached a total of 22,909 people. 225 unique Instagram posts were created by us and others using the hashtag. It was tweeted 33 times, and it brought awareness to the CRA businesses through the slow summer months. Currently, we're working on creating our social media kit for the Boynton Beach Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash. So these individualized social media kits are personally designed for every participating CRA business. Prior to the festival, it was actually just released to our vendors today. And leading up to the event, we are doing PTV live from business locations that are participating in the event. So it's been very exciting. Actually, the Boynton Beach Parasailing, which we did last week, they let us know that immediately after the video, someone called to book the entire boat after they saw the video. So we've had some really great results from the PTV live. We've continued our Boynton Beach CRA blog. We have been alternating between highlighting businesses and CRA projects to bring awareness to the businesses in our district, but also bring awareness to what the CRA does. You can go to the next slide. And we've continued with our one-on-one social media assistance and promotion. So the past 2 quarters, I have reported to you how I've helped businesses that have never been on social media create new things, but I wanted to highlight this quarter how the social media outreach program is for also businesses that are experienced with social media. So just because you already know how to do everything on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter doesn't mean that we can't help you. So the first example is Paris Luxury. They had their grand opening event. For that, we helped to share, and get people excited for the event. And we also were able to attend and provide some equipment for their grand opening, like the giant scissors and the giant ribbon for that event. So it helped them out. Nutrition Cottage, they've been in the middle of redesigning their website and they're working with a new hosting platform. And for that, they needed to update their mailing list to MailChimp. And they called us and they said, hey, listen, we don't know how to do this. So I went over and I helped download their mailing list onto a new platform for them. And then also with the Secret Garden, and the CCC, that whole community, we helped to share their job fair event. And then also we attended and tabled at the event and helped to share it live from the event to try and get people excited and to come to the event. So future projects, our special events season is coming very, very fast. So we're planning on creating social media kits for every single event now moving forward for all of the businesses that participate in our CRA events. Also, holiday season is coming very soon, so we have lots of businesses that are having new specials that we're helping to advertise through our social media. We're also continuing to create customized media kits and helping businesses know how to share them, and then continued one-on-one assistance for businesses based on their specific needs. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Board Member McCray.
Thank you. In regards to the ice cream parlor that's on Federal Highway that's in the former real estate building, how is that doing? Because I saw, y'all revisit or anything like that.
You're talking about the boardwalk?
That's the one.
Yes, they are participating in Pirate Fest. We actually just did a Facebook Live from their location we brought in a pirate actor and they got ice cream and all that. As far as I know, I think that they are doing pretty well. I speak to them on a pretty regular basis And I always ask, do you have any specials? Do you have anything that you need us to share? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I try and keep an eye on their stuff too to, boost it out if there's any special flavors for the month or anything like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda, I'd like to pull out the financial report period ending September 30th and just get update of the ending balances. I know they're unaudited, but just to see how much money we have in the bank.
Good evening, Board. Vicki Hill, Finance Director. Of course, no, we haven't finished. We have a lot of things that are still coming in from September 30th. So we're really not complete, and we really don't have a set number, but if you give us until next month, we can have that number for you.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay? Thank you.
Excuse me, did I have any money left in my discretionary fund? I'm just kidding. Look at you, like said what?
May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. May I have a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Pulled consent agenda items tabled from September 10th, 2019. Item A, approval of commercial rent reimbursement grant program in the amount of $21,000 for Coastal QSR LLC, doing business as Taco Bell, located at 2319 South Federal Highway. May I have a motion to remove from the
Motion to
table?
remove both items from the table.
Thank you. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're ready to hear for your memo now.
Okay, briefly, the memo just states that it's very clear when you apply for a grant that it's just an application and that funding is not guaranteed. Both grants are also very clear that the board may evaluate each application to see if it's in furtherance of the CRA plan. And so if the board is to determine that whatever application is not in furtherance of the plan, that is an option for the board, or the board may determine that this grant is appropriate and is in furtherance of the plan. I can pull out the specific language if you like, but the highlight is you are not obligated to give any grant if you find it's not in furtherance of the CRA.
Board Member McCray, you have a question?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I'm going to say it out front for both A and B. Okay, I wasn't questioning the grant proposal or anything like that. I did not vote for the project, and I will not be voting to give money. That still stands for Board Member McCray.
Okay. And so, Catherine, you said that we have the sole discretion, and now that's for any reason, or if they do not meet the furtherance of the community redevelopment plan?
Well, in this case, those are
It's part of the same sentence.
pretty similar. Yeah, I say they're part of the same conversation. You do have the right to deny it, and the specific wording that is in the grant says that if it determines that the grantee will not, the business will not advance the goals and objectives of the CRA, then the CRA can vote not to approve it.
Okay. So I'll let the applicant see if they have, or if their proposal is in furtherance of the CRA's plan and strategic goals and initiatives.
I'm Ben DeVries, 161 Oakwood Lane, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, Coastal QSR representative.
Hi, Louis Georgie of Bark Management, in this case representing Knuckles LLC, which is the ownership of the site in question, 32 Southeast 2nd Avenue, Delray Beach, Florida.
We have a quick, a few-page overview of our project. You can see here the Taco Bell that we're proposing. We have spent 2 years working very diligently with your excellent city staff to bring the best product that we can to the city. This is approximately a $2 million project that will create tax increment financing. We've worked with the city to put to move a lift station from the middle of the 23rd Avenue to an adjoining parcel that's owned by our landlord. And we have also worked with the county to give a corner clip that allows the intersection to be improved, which will be a multi-million-dollar investment by the county that would not go forward but for our project. So when I read the enabling legislation of the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, I think I want to start with section 2, it refers to the rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment of a combination thereof of such areas that have been blighted that suffer one or more slum or blighted areas, and which are in the interest of the public health, safety, morals, and welfare of the residents of county and municipality. So our goal here is to improve the infrastructure in a blighted area, which includes both the utilities and the traffic infrastructure. We also are going to create jobs, which are consistent with your enabling your resolution initially of the CRA. So we are in full compliance with the purpose of the CRA. And you can see the benefits there. We've done many things above and beyond what anyone else typically would do. We're doing solar canopies for our order board. We are providing land for a bus stop. We have introduced butterfly-friendly landscaping. So this is above and beyond in creating the kind of public urban streetscape that will be inviting to the CRA. So we think we're going to bring business, we're going to improve your infrastructure, and we are uniquely capable of creating a successful business that will employ local people. With that.
Hi, so our company owns the land underneath the project, and Taco Bell has done a tremendous job, Coastal QSR, I should say. I want to reiterate that this is a local franchisee. They operate multiple units. It's not the Yum Brands coming in with a corporate store with billions of dollars in resources. So this is a local company that puts boots on the ground to find locations and build them and work with the municipalities on a person-to-person level. And since we've been talking, we started our initial discussions with them in February of 2017. So we're going back almost 3 years now. We closed on this property in February of 2016. So for 1 year, we sourced as many potential leads as possible for this site. And given that this is a redeveloping area, there weren't many interested players. Taco Bell was one of them. The others were far too cost intensive for us to take on the project. This project made sense. And since then, they've been a delight to work with, and knowing that this project needed a little bit more elbow grease, so to say, we stuck through it. We have incurred the property tax payments, the maintenance, the insurance, and our company's manpower has been dedicated to working with the city alongside Coastal QSRs. They've had cost overruns, we've had cost overruns against our initial budgets. So everyone here is really invested in this project. The dollars are adding up, and what we thought would be maybe a 1 to 2 year project is turning into a 3 to 4 to maybe 5 year project. So it's important that we get the support of the CRA in this instance, because it's at that point where a company like this might walk from it, and we don't want to lose our tenant. In South Florida real estate development, there's a lot of contingencies that exist within leases, and this lease that we have with our tenant is no different. They can walk if the wind doesn't blow the right way, so to say. So right now, we're just focused on helping them absorb any costs that may be incurred, and I am here in support of them getting the full amount of the grants that they've requested so far. One last thing, this work that we've prompted from the county, meaning the infrastructure for the lift station and for the traffic lights, when that gets installed after they are opening, that's going to leave them with a major dent in their business. So for, call it 6 months? 6 months to a year, there's going to be construction at that intersection, major construction. They're going to be shutting down traffic flow, and that's going to put a major crimp in their sales, and they're still going to owe us rent at that point. There's no rent concessions at that point. So I want to do everything we can to make sure that we can accommodate our tenant here, and that the city knows that they've got a great ally that will be helping further the CRA's goals in this part of town. Thank you.
Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you.
Sure.
You want to keep talking?
No, I thought you were going to ask a question.
Not from you, sir. Let me talk. Okay, years ago, this was a furniture store. Okay, and when it came before the CRE and the city of Boynton before, we said that we were, when it was torn down, it came up to put in their medical offices, doctor's offices, because it was located close to Bethesda Memorial Hospital. I was seated when I voted on that. I'm not saying that they're not entitled to the benefits, but I still think that Bethesda would have been a better option for that, and I'm not voting against your benefits. I'm not going to be voting in favor of them because I felt like we should have kept it at what we first done, but I feel like you are entitled to it for what we're doing, but I just will not be voting in favor of it. Thank you.
All right, and so I have a question for our attorney. This is considered a Tier 1 business?
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Why did we separate the Tier 1 businesses from the Tier 2 businesses?
Because they're focused on restaurant and restaurant uses, and they employ greater numbers of people, and the costs of projects like restaurants are generally more expensive than, say, a bookstore.
Okay, and so this meets the criteria for a Tier 1 and meets the criteria for our application?
It does, in every way.
Okay. And so that's one of my main reasons why voting for this, because I don't feel that it is in our discretion, if our executive director says it meets all the criteria, to deny them their request. We learned today that we have over 200,000 in economic development grants available for the CRA, and so we want to spend this money because we want to improve the CRA. And I believe you gave us a list of all the different companies that are national that we've given in the past, and the last 3 of them have gone out of business with the fund that we have spent. CrossFit, Family Dollar, and Yoga Fit, which is well over $100,000 that we've spent. Not to say that that's any of our fault, but you said the match is $2 million that you're putting in, and they're asking for $71,000 back. With the improvement value and the appreciation of the land value, this is a worthwhile investment, because with the other ones, with the CrossFit and Yoga Fit, we gave money and now there's nothing there. Where Family Dollar, we still have the improvement value, and so the CRA is still benefiting from that initial investment as well. Board Member McCray.
Thank you. Chair, I don't think that's a nice scenario to go with the 3 businesses that went out, because I'm just saying, we don't know what's going to happen down the road. I'm just saying Taco Bell can go out. So I'm just saying, I don't like to use that as a scenario, saying that, the 3 on the bottom that we gave money to is not here now. I'm just saying, that's not a nice scenario. I'm just saying they meet the criteria and everything. I just feel like something better could have been put on that corner.
Okay. And so, is there any further discussion from the board? Yes, Commissioner Pinsurga, Board Member Pinsurga.
When this issue initially came to us, I was under the impression that this program was specifically for small businesses. And let me preface the rest of my comments by saying that when I have to make this decision, I have to base it not on what I wish our program was or what I wish our policies should have been today, but they have to be based on what they are actually today. If we want to make this program about small businesses, then I'm more than welcome to have that discussion with the board. But that discussion and that decision has not been made. And so for me to make a fair decision, I have to make sure that it is consistent with precedent, right? Are we giving you an exemption? Are you unique? Or does this match the pattern of giving that we've been doing in the past? And does it meet the criteria? And as it turns out, it meets the criteria. And you are not on any of the lists that are disqualifying the different types of businesses that are disqualifying from receiving this grant. So for these reasons, my gut feeling tells me that this program should be for small, struggling businesses. But again, it's not about what I feel, but what it actually is. So for those reasons, I am very much inclined to vote in favor of giving you these grants. I don't believe that any one party should be unduly targeted just because, today I don't like Taco Bell, or today I don't like this business of this size. If we want to make those policies, I'm more than happy to have those discussions, but until such time that we actually set those policies, I'm going to stick with my decision in favor of this.
All right. And I guess I have another question. We have the ability to decline for any legal reason. Is not voting in the past a legal reason?
I'm sorry, is not voting what?
In the past, a legal reason to decline it.
Yes, I'm not sure I understand what you mean, not voting in the past, though.
So if this board did not vote for this, if a person did not vote for this project in the past, is that a legal reason to continue their vote?
So maybe that is badly phrased. It's more that votes can't be taken for illegal reasons. For example, if you couldn't say, I'm not going to vote for this because of a person's race or gender or something like that, that would not be a legal basis to overturn it. It's not that you have to have a specific legal reason to vote for it. It's that you can't use an illegal basis to deny it. So maybe that is stated badly, but sure, if a person does not desire to vote for it, that's legal. It is legal for a board member to not want to vote for a project.
Okay.
As long as they're not basing it on some other inappropriate criteria.
For any legal reason. Okay. Yes, Board Member Craig.
Thank you. I'm not voting for it for any legal reason. I'm voting for it for what was said before, and what the citizens that appeared before this board and also appeared before the city. I want my vote to be unified all the way across. I'm just saying what we did prior, sir. I cannot undo history, and neither can you.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. And so, is there any further comments from the board?
Yes.
Yep.
So I'll make 2 points. In regards to the language stated in our policies, it states that the commercial property improvement grant and the commercial rent reimbursement grant program both clearly provide that an application is not a guarantee of funding. I'll stop there. The other point that I want to make is if we look at this agenda item that's been presented to the board, the previous CRA grants that have been given in the past to large businesses such as a McDonald's franchise or a Subway franchise, I'm just looking at the large amounts, Sherwin-Williams, they've been in the amounts of 20,000 or more, I would say an average of about 25,000 or so. None of these come close to the ask that's being requested by the applicant before us. Perhaps a smaller amount I would get, but this is the largest by far if you combine the 2 grants that they were requesting. For me, I'm uncomfortable with that. And secondly, again, if we reemphasize on what we've stated before in terms of the objectives of this board, I feel that this grant, this rent reimbursement grant, and these beautification and economic development grants were developed to help small businesses get off the ground, to help prevent small business also from closing within their first 5 years of business. These things are important to me. These, I feel, are the objectives of the business, and so therefore, for that reason, I cannot support this grant funding request because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Can I, just for the record, add that compared to a Subway or any other small inline space, the amount that is invested is considerably less than what these guys are doing. They're spending about $2 million, and that doesn't include the land value, but they're spending $2 million on a brand new building and the interior build out and equipment that is going to be improved on the site. And back to the commissioner's point of not supporting it, in that they might go out someday or they might go out of business. Well, regardless, a building is now erected on that corner where there has been nothing for many, many years. And that's because they're willing to take the risk and take their company's money and deploy it into our city. And, something will fill that spot if they were to decide to leave. The building is now there, which creates a much easier reuse of the property. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. And I respect your decision, but I disagree with it.
All right, Board Member Pensurga.
I have a question for staff. Whoever put together these figures, was it you, Bonnie, who put together these figures? These numbers, do they consider both rent reimbursement and physical improvement, or one or the other? Are these sums?
Yes, they're sums.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
And I will second that. I know that we have an even board, so I'll do a roll call, please.
Board Member McCray.
Nay.
Board Member Romulus.
No.
Board Member Serga.
Yes.
Chairman Grant.
Yes. So I believe that vote it did not receive a majority, and so it is declined. Okay. Thank you. Moving on to public hearing, old business, item 14A, consideration of the request for rental terms and dates for the Boynton Women's Club for fiscal year 2020, meeting dates at the Historic Women's Club, Boynton Beach.
Yes, Board, the members of the Boynton Beach Women's Club are requesting the use of this historic building that is now owned by the CRA to hold their monthly executive board meetings and business luncheons. And they have provided you with a schedule of their requested meeting dates from January of 2020 through May of 2020. At the time of our acquisition, out of consideration for the sale, the CRA entertained an offer and approved the use of the facility by the Women's Club at no charge, on the condition that their meetings did not exceed 60 people, and they were held between 8:30 and 5:30 and didn't serve alcohol. The request is for, this evening is for the similar zero rent, and the same conditions are being requested by the women of the Women's Club. We would like to suggest that if the board is considering honoring the request, that we take into consideration, since taking ownership, the amount of improvements and repairs and financial investment that's been made, and should perhaps consider some type of in-kind service or a security deposit. I think it's they can stay with their rental for the year that they rent, or the 6 or 7 months, or you can go to some other fee arrangement. But that's our position.
Board Member McCray.
Thank you. Michael, when we purchased the building that we now have the library in, how much is the church paying us? Or are they paying us anything?
Church paid $10 a month.
Okay. I felt like they've been there a long time. We refurbished the building, et cetera, and long as it's not, but I'm just saying we need to get something, in-kind services or something. I'm just saying, it's just like said, we got a building, we fixed it up for you all. You all can go back in now and just have a nice, good time. I feel like we should also receive something for what we put into the building. I want the women to continue, but we do need to get something for our efforts as well as what they've done. I'm just saying, we bought the building from them. Mm-hmm. We're the owners. So I'm one of those that feel like we need to get in-kind services or something, in returns for them using the space. That's the way I feel right now.
Do you have an amount?
No, I'd like to hear from the lady that's standing up there. Maybe she got a nice amount that they would like to give, you know.
Good evening. I'm Kay Baker. I'm the president of the Boynton Women's Club. And to speak directly to your request for in-kind or something of that point, in talking to some of the members of the CRA or communicating with them, I understand that there are some times when you would like to hold some events in that building to attract the public. The events that we will be having that are listed as the luncheons that are on the board are open to the public. We have speakers, and we invite the public to come into all of that. It will allow people to come in and see what the CRA has done in rehabilitating that building. We also hope that we could partner with the CRA in any large events that they wish to hold in the building, that we can perhaps cooperate with them. I'm sorry, I had another thought and it's just walked out of my mind. Oh, I know what it was. When Twee showed the pictures of the interior of the building, one of those photographs was of a drop curtain from the stage. And in some communication, it has been mentioned that there might be some restoration for that drop curtain. I already indicated the willingness of the Boynton Women's Club to assist with the cost of that restoration.
Okay, hear from you. My take is that, you know, I'm willing to try it for a year, you know, with whatever you all and the CRA can decide to come up with, you know, and see how that works out. Then if not, then, you know, we'll put a fee to it. But I'm just saying in-kind services is fine with me. Restoration, that's fine with me. I'm just saying, you know, how many members you have now?
48.
How many?
48. We have 3 new members coming in.
All right. Good enough.
Yeah. I will, you know, I'd like to accept your offer of assistance with the restoration of the drop curtain. I was here when we were able to accept your offer to buy the women's club, and it was a very tremendous offer. It was not the full asking price like the church offered. And so, you know, I will be doing whatever I can to make sure that the Boynton Women's Club always has a home in the historic Boynton Beach Historic Women's Club.
I appreciate that, Mayor Grant.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion so
Okay.
he doesn't have to move the gavel.
All right.
Move to receive in-kind services from the Boynton Women's Club and follow their schedule, their request schedule.
Second.
Work with staff to work that out.
Right. Second.
All right. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to fiscal year 2018-2019, update for the nonprofit organization grant agreement with the Community Caring Center of Greater Boynton Beach.
I apologize. Twee Shutt for the record. This is the second grantee for the fiscal year 18-19 nonprofit organization grant program. Ms. Sherry Johnson's here for any questions. We have reviewed the report for the quarter starting February 13th, ending in June 30th, and we find it to be consistent with the grant agreement. Unlike the Habitat for Humanity, this grant applicant needs to come back to get the board approval before disbursement of the check. The request is for $9,500, and the total received by the CCC is $19,000 for their economic development initiative with the Secret Garden. It's a culinary incubator, and you've seen previously in the report, the social media report, they've done a great job with the few dollars they got from us. So if there's any other questions, I'm here to answer them.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Yes, discussion.
Yes.
Just if Sherry wants to share a quick verbal report to us, I'd like to hear it.
Oh, thank you.
Sherry,
Yes.
pull your mic.
Yeah.
Yes, we pretty much met most of our benchmarks in that first few months through June 30th. So the rest of what we've done for the summer has pretty much been gravy. We were very excited about the job fair and about the Mike Simon's participation with Career Source and the City Economic Development Director, David Scott, to put on that gig economy presentation, and that seemed to be marvelous at the job fair. So we're in the process of wrapping up now our final report to you. We have created 2 new businesses start up. One is a Haitian bistro, 1804 cuisine with a K, that had its grand opening on August 17th. We also have a bakery that Sweet Lips with a Z in there, who's now a baker and is a mobile food baker that distributes product. So we're very excited about the talent that we have at the Secret Garden and the new startup businesses. We've managed to pay for out of this grant 3 startup businesses to get their food manager's license. And so this has been a really great start. We've got a good barbecue guy that is going to be hitting the streets pretty soon. So we're really delighted with what we've been able to accomplish. As I'm getting ready to leave, I had some board people that were not here at the last meeting that I just wanted to introduce to you so that you had a chance to meet them. We've been doing a lot of board development, and their support this year has just been phenomenal. And as we are moving into more of a construction mode, and our site development team is here to address any questions that you might have later. But I'd like to take the moment to introduce to you Jane Snell. Jane, would you stand? Okay. Jane Snell is on our construction. She owns her own company. She's an engineer, and I'd like you to meet her. She's been really instrumental in getting us this far along and in introducing us to our designer.
Sure, that's it's a different item.
That's a different item?
Yeah, that's item
All right,
D.
so I'll just introduce them.
Do you mind waiting
I won't say a
just
word.
a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just say their names and I won't say a word. Art Whitman was not here last time. Art, if you'd stand. Katura Joseph was not here last time. She's on our advisory board, Katura. And then I have Joyce Portnoy, who was here last time. And then I'd like to introduce you to our new board president, Doreen Robinson, and she'll be available if you have questions later on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, is there any further discussion from the board?
Yes.
Yes.
In regards to the quarterly report that staff attached, does it have to be this long and drawn out?
This is just an excerpt. Unfortunately, we could make it more brief if we wanted to. This is just all the background, and we'll be glad to make it abbreviated.
For me, I'm seeing checking account statements. I don't necessarily need to see all of that. I would prefer to actually see the product of what they're doing. That way, we also have a more visual and tangible way of keeping them accountable and knowing where our funds are going.
Definitely. We did attach Chef Answer, Louise.
Yeah, I see that.
At the end, that was the product at time of publication. We have that. We just didn't, we didn't know what you wanted in terms of the reporting, but we can definitely shorten it up. Not a big deal. It's less time for us because we had to retract all that, also account numbers and stuff like that. So trust me, yes, we'll make it shorter.
Thank you.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 14C, consideration of a purchase and sale agreement for the property located at 100 East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, formerly known as Family Dollar. It is on the table. We have someone have a motion to remove from the table.
Motion to remove from the table only for discussion for me.
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. So I want to, I guess, Catherine, you're going to help me with the contract law in the sense is that a contract is formed when you have an offer, acceptance, and consideration where you have the meeting of the minds. When we sent out our letter for $1.2 million, that was an invitation to offer, where the property owner, I think Washington Woodcliff, offered us the property and building for $1.2 million, and they've rescinded that offer. Are we allowed to make an offer of $1.2 million to him still, and have him able to accept it or not accept it?
Certainly, the CRA could make an offer. There's nothing on the table right now, as his offer has been rescinded, as you said, but if the CRA wanted to reapproach him, they could.
And so the reason why it was such a low price is because it wasn't issued with a realtor. And so it is now currently listed, I was told, for $1.9 million.
Yes, sir.
And so one of the reasons why I think it's listed so high above what the market value would consist is that there is an ongoing litigation or discussion between the property owner and Family Dollar. I believe that's what the purchase and sale agreement said, that he was entitled to all the funds from any litigation with Family Dollar.
Well, he was negotiating a lease termination that was separate from our acquisition, but for purposes of escrow, he was tying their escrowed funds into the closing, but our price was still the 1.2.
And so I don't necessarily know how the board feels to see if they've changed their mind on this, but this is an opportunity that we still have to make an offer. And I believe that this, for the past 2 years, we have spent over $7 million outside of the heart of Boynton Beach with the Town Square project and the church, and we have only spent $700,000 in the heart of Boynton Beach for the park. And there really has not been any economic development that this CRA has done for the heart of Boynton Beach. And, I was told that this Family Dollar was the first development in 40 years on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And I still would request a motion from this board to make an offer to the owner for a little bit more than 1.2 now, because he has to pay a realtor, because we have an opportunity to not let it stay vacant. I feel that if we do not make an offer of $1.3 million, this property will stay vacant because of the ongoing litigation between the property owner and Family Dollar, and thus creating a slum and blighted area on Martin Luther King. Board Member McCray, you have comments?
Thank you. I'm not in favor of offering anything. I'm just saying, it's not going to create no slum and blighted areas, sir. The building is there. We have community standards that make sure that they keep that building up. I want them to go through litigation and find out what is going on before we even come in offering a price. I'm not in favor of moving on this if it's in litigation.
Okay. Board Member Romulus.
I just want clarification on what caused them to rescind their offer. Is it because we were wavering on whether we wanted to offer our letter, or what happened?
I can't speak for the owner, but they provided the contract. They approved your offer. They approved the contract, and the board tabled the contract, and the owner's intent was to try to dispose of the property as quickly as he could, which he was on his way to do. And I don't believe there's any ill will on the part of the owner toward the CRA. I'm sure he was disappointed in what he thought was an agreed upon, as best two parties can agree without being able to vote and actually carry out the action. You're not a private individual. You're a corporation. You can't make decisions on the fly. You have to have a meeting. And so he decided to rescind the contract and his approval of the LOI and put it on the market.
Okay, so in my opinion, I would be willing to support the chair's comments in terms of I am afraid that this empty building, I mean, even when it was operational as a Family Dollar, there was still instances of issues with drug use and vagrants being on the property. So now that it's empty and it's vacant, how do we prevent that from happening and furthering that? And I don't want to see a situation where this property remains vacant for months or potentially years on end while litigation is figured out, because I mean the property taxes that they have to pay on this property is what, 40-something thousand, correct? If I'm not mistaken. It's
Correct.
not a huge amount, so I mean they could carry this out for forever and not really care, because 40,000 is probably a drop in the bucket for them. But for us and for the intentions that we have here on our CRA redevelopment and also on the MLK corridor, especially after the hefty investment that we've made at the Sarah Sims Park, I don't want to see this be something that just stands there for a while without anything happening to it. We have the MLK project that's been approved and that's moving forward. I want to make sure that the redevelopment that continues happens basically simultaneously, and it's not something that we're waiting to see what happens next. I think it still behooves us to have control of that property and to also dictate what potentially goes in there in the near future, rather than letting the market determine that, especially if we're seeing that the price that they're asking is 1.9 mil. We know that that area is still an area that's got issues with slum and blight. We want to keep the area affordable. So it's difficult for me to see that 1.9 is something that will be feasible, and then that will actually turn around and do something for the surrounding community that will be beneficial and that we would want to encourage within the redevelopment design that we have for that MLK corridor. So I would be in favor of still going forward and proposing an offer to the owner and seeing if they would honor that.
So your motion is for the signed contract on our behalf for the 1.2 million?
I would have to confer with legal or with staff to figure out what the exact wording is of what we want to do, but I'm saying I am open to proposing this 1.2 that we were currently, debating prior but didn't really pull the trigger on. I'm still willing to do it.
So what I think I hear is that you would like to make a motion to make the same offer under the same terms and conditions that the previous contract was for?
Say what?
You would like to offer to pick back up where you left off, if he would consider that.
If the owner would consider what we originally had on the table and is willing to come back, yes.
And that is your motion?
Correct.
Thank you. Board Member McCray, you have your hand up?
Yes. But all fairness to this project, there's no slum and blight over there now, and I'm just saying I cannot understand why we cannot table this again and wait till we have a full board here to sit up and discuss this, so it'd be all five instead of four people making a decision for this. There's no urgency for a rush. I'm just saying 1 month is not going to make a difference.
Your motion is to table, is that what you said?
Yes.
I feel that if you do wait, this is business, and that even though we're a government, we're an entity and that we deal with in real time. And so I'm not in favor of tabling it. It's either we feel that we can improve the community redevelopment district with the purchase of this property, because every month that it is vacant, nothing is getting better. And so if Board Member Pinsurga does not table it, does not second Board Member Romulus's motion, I will. Yes.
Just point of clarification, I think you may have two live motions at the moment.
Yeah, you got two live motions, right.
So
Yeah.
we need to deal with one at a time.
Okay. So does the motion to table trump the first motion?
No.
No, the first
Okay.
motion stays live, so
All
I
right.
think that the second motion is not
So,
active.
Board Member Pinsurga, do you have a comment?
Yes, I'm not in favor of making an offer, and I believe you suggested at a higher price, higher value, 1.3, is that what you said?
Yes.
Well, I said that because of the cost of listing that the developer now has to pay.
I'm not in favor of putting back the offer. We made our offer. They accepted, and what happened in the previous meeting was that I asked that we simply table this item. At no point in that meeting did anyone make a motion to rescind our offer. And so one of the questions I have for staff is, as I'm reading this letter from David Aikenhead, manager of Woodcliff, Washington, to Mr. Simon, and Mr. Aikenhead writes, your attorney, Ken Dodge, advised me late last week that the CRA had decided not to move forward with this acquisition. I'm a little confused as to who decided not to move forward with this acquisition when all that we did as a board was motion to table, not to rescind the offer. So I have that confusion, and if staff has some clarification on that, I'd really appreciate it.
I'll go ahead and offer that. So as far as I'm aware, and I've spoken with Ken about this, is that he explained that the motion had been tabled. He did not say that it had been denied, but tabling a motion does not move it forward. Tabling a motion, by definition, holds it still. And so I think his letter reflects that correctly.
All right. So no, I'm going to keep my position, and I'm not in favor of making that 1.3 offer.
I made it for 1.2. Does that vary? Does that change your position? It's for the original letter that we sent. It's not changing the amount at all.
No, not at this point.
Okay.
All right, well, like I said before, I'll second it. And so, seeing how we have four, may I have a roll call, please?
Mayor?
Yep.
Chair. I just want to clarify for Commissioner or Chair or Board Member Prince Circa's clarification. I mean, the fact that we tabled it, in essence, basically said that we were not planning on moving forward. It's not that we rescinded, it's just that the fact that we very much tabled, if you're at a negotiation table and you choose to say, hold on, let's take a pause, that ultimately says to the buyer or whomever you're dealing with that you don't want to move forward. And so, as Chair mentioned, this is a business transaction, and if they're seeing cold feet on our end, that tells them potentially that we may not be interested. And so I don't know what your intention was last week or last month when you asked to table it. What were you
I can provide that
considering, or
clarification.
if you'd like to, because I'm not sure what you were looking for, or if you haven't received your answer yet, and what's keeping you on the sidelines still.
Sure, I'd be more than happy to explain. First of all, thank you to staff and to my colleague for making that clarification on the significance of tabling and how that's interpreted to others. My decision to table this item in the previous meeting was simply to give the Community Caring Kitchen an opportunity to speak. At that time, I was under the impression that they had expressed interest in purchasing that property. And so they had not, they were not physically present here, and all I wanted is for them to state their position, their most recent update to that position, and let them have that opportunity. It wasn't, I thought I made that clear in my comments, but that was my intention. It was never my intention to completely rescind or take back this offer whatsoever. Now that they have done that, now that they have rejected our offer, I don't see how putting it back on the table will change anything. They clearly made up their mind, and perhaps, I think it was you, Chair, that mentioned that they'd already gone to broker, so their interest is to go to the market and to let the market forces be at work. And if that is their interest, which is how I'm interpreting, does anyone have any additional information, staff, that would?
Most landlord contracts have a duty to mitigate, and so they're required to list it, because the fact that they had the letter from us and that initial invitation to offer is the reason why we were able to get it at such a low price, where they were going to work out a separate negotiation with Family Dollar. They still have their negotiation with Family Dollar. Therefore, them not selling it for any certain amount of time does not mean that they're not going to get money from Family Dollar.
Okay, so let me ask this question. I may be stating the obvious, but I just want to ask it for some clarity. If we put back this offer of 1.2 on the table, this in no way precludes anybody else from making an offer or conducting business privately.
So that is correct, and to be very clear, technically at this point, you would be putting a new offer on the table.
Correct.
It would just, you're just offering to do what you were
At the
going
exact same value.
Yeah, I mean, your contract dates would obviously change, but yes, I understand that to be the motion. But
Correct.
there's nothing that would obligate the seller at any point. I mean, we had a letter of interest to sort of not agreement, but understanding in place. That doesn't exist anymore. So there's absolutely nothing that stops the owner from talking to anyone that he wants to about whatever deal he would like to make, even if you make an offer. He has no obligation to even consider it. He could. He might be very interested in that conversation, but there's no obligation.
Board Member Romulus.
Chair, two things. So, Commissioner Pinsurga, since you've, Chair, I can't keep up with this. Board Member Pinsurga, since you've mentioned that the Community Caring Center was perhaps interested in this, if someone is here and they'd like to speak on this, I'm more than happy to hear it. And secondly, to offer clarification on the owner, not to speak for the owner, but I don't believe they rejected our offer. I believe, from legal can correct me, they rescinded because we tabled, so we looked like we were splitting hairs, so they decided to say, you know what, let's just go the other way. So I don't believe they rejected our offer. Am I correct on this? They did not reject us. They simply just said, okay, well, you guys are tabling it. You guys don't seem like you're ready to move forward, so we're just going to rescind our offer, and we're just going to go elsewhere and see if somebody else is interested instead.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so I believe us putting this offer back on the table officially and saying, yes, this is where we stand, gives them basically an opportunity to say, okay, well, here we are. We have a willing and available buyer. Let's make this happen. So that's the intention of why I think it would be a good move to at least put this forward on the table officially and see where they stand. If they reject us, they reject us. We move on. We let them do what they do. I don't see anything wrong with at least just putting it out there and seeing where the chips fall. But I would, again, like to hear from the Community Caring Center. If they have something they'd like to say that perhaps might change our minds, I'm more than open to hearing it
I think that's a very good idea. Doreen?
Yes, good evening. I'm Doreen Robinson, Board President. Mayor Grant, Commissioners, and Mike and the CRA staff. On behalf of the board and the staff, thank you for the support of our mission. I especially want to thank Mike Simon and his team for the courtesies extended to Nancy Flynn, our Vice President, as we explored the possible acquisition of the Family Dollar store. I'm here tonight to update you on where we are. When this property went on the market, the board felt compelled to explore this site as an alternative to building. As you may know, Nancy pursued the details of this sale with the owner. Based on the conditions of sale that have been imposed by the owner, we have decided as a board to abandon our interest in this property. As you know, development plans for the Northeast 9th Avenue site have been underway for months. At your June 11th, 2019 meeting, we presented our conceptual and landscape design review and received unanimous approval for this project. During the upcoming months, we will continue to work with the Sante Design Group and Caulfield and Wheeler on detailed planning for this exciting project. As the plans develop for this project, we appreciate an opportunity to share these plans with you and would like to schedule time to meet with each of you to answer any questions you may have and allow you to share in the excitement we have for this project. Thank you again for your consideration and support.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you. I wish you had been present in the previous meeting,
Yeah.
but better late than never. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, that clarifies, I think, a lot. So, Board Member Pinsurga, how do you feel now, knowing
So,
where they stand?
my next question, previously...
You can't ask them that question.
I mean,
I
change things.
Yes.
You can't ask that. You have to let him speak. You can, how do you feel now? No, ma'am.
Okay.
So previously, my intent was to solve multiple problems at the same time. They were to make sure that this property is no longer vacant. Number two, to make sure that we have some sort of entity that would help solve the food desert situation. Number three, had Community Caring Kitchen moved in, we would no longer have to fund the construction of their new building, which would save money. Now that that's no longer on the table, I'd like to ask staff, what are the future plans if we were to put back the 1.2 offer, and if they were to accept, what does the future of the site look like? In other words, what's the direction we'd be going in if I were to accept this motion? Obviously, it would no longer be vacant. That's obvious. But what are anything else in addition to that?
Well, I think from the perspective of an overall redevelopment plan and a redevelopment project, I would say to you that I believe staff feels that the highest and best use for the property is to include it in some way, shape, or form into the overall Centennial project as the entrance feature to that. I believe that for $1.2 million or even slightly, let's just say for $1.2 million, that the cost of the land is affordable. The building itself and the work that's done, the parking lot, the exfiltration, everything that's done there would exceed that value. The appraisal is at $1.9 million. That was a commercial appraisal that we had done. There are things you could do in the short term. However, this site was a mixed-use site before the Family Dollar took over and determined its commercial use. This is a site that is a large piece on a corner. It should and could have residential units attached to it. It would increase the number of affordable units that could be built. I don't, unless there is a tenant out there that is head and shoulders above repurposing the lot and creating new commercial and residential in one project, that would be my recommendation, is to move forward with a new project. We spent a good bit of time over the past 12 to 14 years with various architectural renderings that would provide a new building with that exact use before we knew anything that would happen behind it. Or if the board had a different opinion, that we certainly could explore those.
Yeah, I mean, from the board, of my opinion on it is that I've been to the different pop-up festivals that we've had. There's actually a permanent one now at the mall called Boynton Beach Marketplace, where they have a grocer, they have a farmer's market, they have all these different small businesses that are able to sell their wares. And I feel that this being at that location of of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Seacrest, you have the option of creating a gathering space, an entertainment complex, not just for shopping, but one of the features could have been a co-working space that, this community needs some economic help with their economic development, and this building can help with that. Catherine?
Mm-hmm. I just want to clarify for the board to make sure that it's very clear that if the CRA does acquire this property, it will still have to go through the normal property disposal procedures, which would either be an RFP or entertaining a letter of interest from someone like the Centennial Group. So just to be clear, it still has to go through that process.
So we could get a letter of intent from Centennial, or we can do something of our own with it.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Cra, you've been patiently waiting.
Thank you. First of all, years ago, and help me if I'm in left field, which I know I'm not, when we was getting property before, we said that the CRA, we was not going into the landlord business. Thank you. Go ahead. Did we say that?
It was the preference at the time not to do that.
Yes, okay. The next thing is, how much money did we spend on this whole project, Michael, from the beginning to where we are now?
We have the two acquisitions of the two corners. Together, I would say they're about $750,000 with closing costs. And then our grant that we gave them was a total of $55,000. So let's say about $800,000 in the project.
$800,000.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's why I'm saying, whether we offer 1.2 or 1.3, I still feel that, because I'm going to vote against it, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to vote, that we should have a full board to discuss this. It was made with a full board, and I don't know why one more month is going to hurt anybody with the urgency to rush. If the guy can't wait, you know, wish him well if he's got somebody to buy it. That's the way I see it.
All right. So we have still the first motion. Board Member Pinsurga, we have a, yes, Sherry?
Am I allowed to provide some input?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Into the microphone, though.
Sherry Johnson.
Thank you.
One of the things that the county is stepping out with this year is a new way of providing wraparound services. Some of you have attended the training on the racial equality. And so this system that we have here in Palm Beach County of feeding the fishes does not address the groundwater. So how do you go about do that? Everyone is on board right now. All of the foundations have aligned with the county programs, and they are coming out with a program they're referring it to as SOFI, where you are taking low-income families and providing wraparound services to help lift them out of poverty. The amazing talent that is here in the heart of Boynton is incredible. And a lot of them cannot maneuver jobs or typical jobs. And then you have this influx of gig economy where people are trying to be their little consultants and maneuvering that. So you're seeing different platforms become more available that provide opportunities. You could be a leader in your community, Mac, that would provide a location that these people could come to and could begin to increase disposable income with some of the services. You could use that for a center, a green market center with some of the most amazing talent that's right here in this neighborhood by providing them low rental facilities to help build their business and lift them out of poverty. Lots of other formats are coming to the forefront in West Palm Beach. You've got that Oceanside Market. It could be the most fabulous location. That would have been my first thought if we didn't need to have social service offices there at the Family Dollar. But this could be a center that the CRA could lead the way in helping to address the poverty in this community and do that kind of bootstrap, lifting them out. The programs are starting to come down. You're going to see all of the social services providers. We have to be doing that in our next grant cycle. We're looking for a location now, and there just isn't anything. This would be so central and so vital to the community. It could be rich, unique with the cultural heritage that's part of this community and celebrated on a daily basis.
Sherry, I'm going to straighten you on your comment about poverty in that community. Sherry, there's poverty in every community.
I understand
Thank you. I just want to state it for the record, saying like you're trying to say now. I'm not putting words in your mouth that there's poverty in District 2. It's poverty in every community. That's all I need you to say.
I understand that, but Mac, I've been working in this community for 20 years.
Thank you.
And it's this community that I'm concerned about and
Don't say
hoping
it's
that
poverty
we
in
can
this
address.
community. It's poverty in all communities.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Board Member Romulus.
Yes, I might be getting ahead of myself and putting the cart before the horse, but Michael, if you could just give me an estimate of if we were able to expand out the Centennial Project out to Seacrest, including this, how many additional units would that add to their already existing plans that they have? I know they have, it's about 324 units that they're proposing in their project now. What would it expand that to if we followed the same layout that they already have and just expanded out here to Seacrest using this property?
It's
200?
How much, it's a little under an acre. You're not going to, it's not that you're going to get another, it's 20 units an acre, so you're probably going to get between 12 and 18 units extra.
Once you build it out.
It's not going to be a significant.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So-
commercial, so all you'd have the commercial underneath.
Which would be about how many square feet?
I would say close to the 8,000 that you have there.
Okay.
Back the same
Okay.
amount. Yeah,
So-
between 65 and 8,000, I think.
So,
I would just squish the building across.
Yeah.
But obviously, it can be a Grandview Market. There's many things you could try to do
Right.
with the existing building.
so it's either we can keep the existing building as is and try to retrofit and use it for something else, or we can completely level it and just expand the Centennial project if we were to reacquire this property, add an additional perhaps 15 to 20 units, and then add 8,000 square feet of retail, which could include a local grocer, which would take care of the food desert situation in that area. It would also add an additional number of units to the already very exciting project that's being built here in this community, and just expand the entire footprint down MLK and also along Seacrest, making that MLK entire boulevard basically a haven for affordable housing and also fresh food. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So with that being said, I see this as a positive. I see this as a potential viable object, especially when you put into consideration the fact that somebody would have to come in, pay about $2 million to do something with that small corner lot, or it could be something that could be expanded and broaden the goals and plans that we already have and increase that existing project. And again, if you consider the Centennial process, we only had to chip in $500,000 for that project, right? Or is that the one we have not gone through 9% tax credit yet?
We haven't gone through.
We haven't.
thought-
So perhaps.
No, I thought we already done
I
that.
thought we did, didn't we?
Yeah, I signed both.
Ocean Breeze East we have, but for
Not
Ocean Breeze, I'm sorry, for MLK, you've pledged up to 624,000.
Right.
You haven't had to provide that yet, but you've pledged that if it's needed.
When they go through the 9% tax
If they,
credit process.
yes, ma'am, if
Right.
they're selected.
So I mean, I know the conservative or fiscally conservative argument here is that we've spent almost $1 million already on this lot and these lots, and now we would be spending another 1.2 perhaps if this offer is accepted. But I think it's a small price to pay, to be perfectly honest, for something that could be long-term and really changing the face and the landscape of this community. So I still see no objection to wanting to make this offer, and if it's accepted, I think it's still just a step in the positive direction.
May I suggest that if when the motion is entertained, that you include the ability to have the board chair at this point, whether it's approved or not, but the motion would include providing the board chair authorization to execute the contract offer from the purchaser side when the dates are changed and the contract reflects the dates of today and signature. So when you present the offer to the owner, you have agreed and you're providing a signed offer that is what you're willing to do.
I'm fine with that amendment.
Okay, and it also included in the contract traditional closing costs as well.
Yes, everything would be the same as it is now. We just, rather than wait a month, we would provide execution once staff and legal approve those changes.
All right. Yes.
There's a question and a final comment, and then I'm ready to vote. The question is, Mike, I think you said $700,000 were invested in here?
$700,000 to
$800,000?
Yes.
And what is the current taxable value of property and building, approximately? I want to see how much money did we put in versus the value that it has grown to, which is the whole intent of putting money in a property to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bonnie. So the property is valued at 2.5 today. As far as if you scroll down a little bit more, sorry, that's the purchase
It's the
price.
sale price.
Yeah. At 1.7 is the assessed value. It's producing $37,000 in, essentially all of that is, almost all of that is TIF revenue into the CRA, because the value was very low, if any.
Assessed value is 1.7 plus the TIF, fire assessment, and some additional things.
Right, the ad valorem of the 37 is what the CRA is receiving.
All right, thank you for that answer. My final comment is this. When I initially voted in favor of making that letter of offer, it was for the specific intent in making sure that something good is put in this community. Initially, that was the idea about a food access point or a grocer. We know that we've tried getting Publix and other companies to come in, and they've all said no, and that's where the community caring kitchen idea came in. That is something that the people asked for who live there. We heard multiple people come in here and ask for that, and so that was my intent. And so hearing now from my colleagues about a different future if we were to go in this route, and that future may include more affordable housing and space for these additional services, whatever they may be exactly, whether it be a grocer, a pharmacy, or whatnot, but there's space for that. And financially, we put in $800,000, and it did its job because the value now is 1.7, not counting everything else. And the Family Dollar failing, that's the fault of nobody here. I mean, Family Dollar failing is happening all across the country. I think 300-something stores. So in terms of the money put in, it worked exactly as it was supposed to. The value went up. And I see a future where the needs of the people who live there can be met. Do I like doing the 1.2? No. But in the absence of competition, because of whatever the reason may be that other people don't want to come in here and not make offers, I want to make sure something is built here and it benefits the people who live there. And so for those reasons and all the things that you've told me, I'm more than happy to vote in favor of putting the offer of 1.2 on the table.
Is that a second?
Yes.
You already seconded, Chair.
Oh,
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
The motion is 3-1. Moving on to item D, consideration of terms for the purchase and development agreement with the Community Caring Center, Boynton Beach, for the property located at 145 Northeast 4th Avenue. May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
I just
Discussion.
I need clarification.
Okay.
What are we putting on this table?
Right.
What are we?
You're approving, we're bringing back a contract document itself, but the terms that have been discussed for your approval tonight to put into the document were that there was an acquisition of the property located at 145 Northeast 4th Avenue for $205,000 with a lease back to the Community Caring Center at a cost of $10 a year, with them maintaining all of the insurances and liability and maintenance of the project, not to exceed a time period of 30 months from the date of closing. There is a $45,000 financial assistance for pre-development costs, reimbursable to them, and the disposal and transfer of the property of the CRA-owned lots located at the corner of Northeast 3rd Street and Northeast 9th Avenue, with a first right of refusal and a reverter in the event that the project does not go forward. The reverter could fall off after the CO is obtained, but the first right of refusal should stay. And that would provide additional $300,000 in site development funding, which you had agreed to and budgeted for. Both of those dollar amounts, the total of the $550,000 have been approved in the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. And we would want a development timeline and performance milestones that are typical in all of our contracts. I believe that in our last discussion with the board members and with Sherry, there is a need perhaps from a lending perspective that there is a closing on the property prior to our original thought, which was closing after site plan approval, but because of the lending requirements of the bank for the construction loan and other financial considerations, the property needs to be under the control and ownership of the community caring center. That's not uncommon or unusual, given that they're looking for funding from an outside source and not equity plus the CRA. So I think that that's okay. We still have our securities in case the project weren't to go forward. Unless there's anything else that that Sherry has come up with after our meeting that you want to mention, or.
Well, I just need a point of clarification. We don't want to jump ahead and have to come back to you and ask you to change anything. We're just getting to where that contract is going to our legal department, and so we were wondering if you might extend a courtesy to us for just a couple of months to maybe just lay it on the table and let us review with our legal, tweak if there's anything that we need to with yours, so that when it does come back for approval, we would sign that night. But we would like to have a few months. We've been a little distracted with considerations of other things, and now that that has been put aside, we're ready for site plan approval. We've gotten that far. We have the application ready. We've been taking bids where we didn't really stop moving that project forward, but we'd like some consideration to just take the contract that you're looking at this evening with a month or two for review with our attorney. Is that appropriate? I would hope that, because you have timetables involved, so everything is tied to if you do this by then and this by then. So we don't want to start that clock until we're absolutely ready in place with being able to sign the contract.
I mean, the easiest option is to extend the time, and that way, instead of the 30 months, we can give you 40 months if that something makes it easier for you to agree to it today.
No, it's that we want, I don't think my board has had a chance to really talk with anyone about the contract. We want to be able for our board to totally understand what it is that we're doing and vote on us to agree to that. And so I want to be able to bring our legal team in and have at least a board meeting or two for them to really understand the process and ask questions. And then we can start that clock. I'm hoping 40 months is not going to be necessary.
Okay. I just,
December 10th.
yeah, the only thing I caution you is that this is, this offer can change. And so that's kind of it right now, is that you can have an offer on the table now that may not be there in a couple months.
Oh, well, that was my question then, if that's the case, that the terms would change. Okay.
So I'll let Board Member McCray.
Thank you. Board Chair, with your respect, I'm just saying, I don't think the offer is going to change, and I think it's a good thing that you're saying, put it on the table and come back, with these 30 months, and then we're giving you like $10. You are the one that's going to be taking the responsibility, and you standing before us saying, give us time to go before our legal, and this is what you all need to be on the page before we even make a decision. I don't know, this is something that needs to be tabled. This is something else they're trying to do, rush and haste with. This needs to be tabled. Let you all come back and tell us that y'all got your paperwork in order, then we can move forward. That's the way I feel about your project.
Okay. Board Member Romulus and Pensurga.
Staff. I just want to hear from staff.
That's fine.
Okay.
Absolutely. I believe that it was mentioned earlier that they wanted to have individual meetings with you to discuss their project, and that's no problem. We were just wanting to make sure that your terms.
For table. I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing that would.
Nothing. We just wanted to present the terms so we could now give them a contract making sure that your terms that you had agreed to were still the ones that you wanted in the document so that they could renew or
Because
review. To review.
The board's performance is going to be based on a lot of those, and right now they haven't had a chance to really understand the terms of the contract, so I need to go through that process with them. Okay?
All right, Board Member Pinsurga.
I have no objections to your request. I think what you're asking for is the responsible thing. I'm more than happy to oblige. I do have a question regarding this, and if staff could correct my understanding, has this not been on the table for quite some time? Have you not had, how much time have you had to review these terms?
I don't think I saw the contract until about 2 weeks ago or so. So the legal, I mean, it's been on the table. We've been anticipating this, but it wasn't until just recently that we really got the contract that you're looking at now. And I don't read legalese.
So we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
We have a motion on the table?
I didn't give a motion, but I'm going to be in favor of giving a motion to table.
Okay, have it come back a date certain?
Yes.
Did a December 10th
Yes,
meeting or the January meeting?
Let's put it for January.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, Sherry, would you rather have it in December, January, February?
We've got a big gala going on in December. I hope
All right,
you all come
I'll make
to
a
that.
motion to table.
January would be better for us.
Okay.
What's a good date for you?
I just need a couple of months, so, no later than your first meeting in January would be fine.
That would be January 14th.
January 14th.
Would be fine.
Motion to table to January 14.
Okay.
And I'll be still sitting up here, all right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your consideration.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Tabled to January 14th, 2020. Item 14E, consideration of neighborhood officer policing program description and third amendment to the interlocal agreement for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Yes, Board, that is the item, and the only change really for your consideration post presentation from the police chief and during the budget process was the introduction of a ring program of some sort where rings would be a certain number of rings that were funded by the CRA could be utilized through the innovative policing techniques of the neighborhood officer program and thereby distributed in conjunction partnership with the NOP officers providing a ring camera or a Nest camera or some similar item or device, I should say, without the obligation, as per our legal counsel's advice, that requiring a link up between the individual's product that we're giving to them for free and the Boynton Beach Police Department is something that they're not comfortable as an agency including in our grant or in our program. It would be a voluntary something if they wanted to do so. Same with the ability to carry forward a system with whatever company that we pick that would store the data that the ring camera is collecting into some cloud base. As you know, the ring camera, for lack of a better example, only stores the data of the images collected for about 3 days, and if for some reason it was a better idea to have it stored for 3 months at a time, that would be an added cost that I don't think legal or the staff is comfortable getting into involved, where we're paying a monthly fee for individuals. I think we're comfortable with where the statute is and the physical camera themselves and working with our innovative policing techniques, as we say again, the innovative policing techniques under the statute that the NOP program is utilizing. And we just need to find out if that's still something you want to do and if you want to set aside funding. It was discussed earlier during budget of approximately $15,000 set aside to see how many we can get. We haven't reached out to any partnerships or anything like that with the police department, but it would be presumed that a bulk purchase of whatever camera or group of cameras, maybe that we pick several, that we might be able to get some kind of a bulk discount.
All right. Board Member McCray.
Thank you. The Ring cameras, they come with a monthly charge, correct?
Only if you want to store the data in the cloud or on their server. You can, otherwise it's just a camera from your phone to your door to your phone.
All right.
That you'd have to have a phone like this, obviously.
Right. Let me ask another question for legal. In regards to the changes for the CRA went into effect October the 1st, are we allowed to make a payment for somebody?
So the statute still, even after the changes, provides that CRAs are empowered to employ innovative policing techniques. Your neighborhood officer program is one of those techniques. And because this would be instituted through the neighborhood policing officer program and under their oversight, and it's an actual physical improvement, which is consistent with what CRAs are now charged with doing, we feel this fits in the statutory scheme even as it's being rolled out.
Let me ask another question another way. Why the police department can't pay $15,000? You know, that's the city. You know, I'm not trying to be funny, but you know, why keep charging?
No,
you know, we already gave them more than what they asked for.
Well, Board Member McCray, this has been initiated by the CRA.
Still hear me out.
So,
Stop, please. I don't care who it's been initiated by. It's benefiting the citizens of Boynton. I don't care what is going on. I'm just saying $15,000, but the budget that the city have, and coming here, you know, telling us that we need to be paying $15,000. I'm just saying, you know, it's ludicrous. We're giving them more than what they really asked for. I'm just saying this should be a tab that the police department need to be picking up, not the city.
You mean the CRA?
CRA, that's the one.
So, you know, I think this is, yes, I think that, you know, having the cameras there regardless will make the CRA district area safer. You know, I believe it was, 2 or 3 months ago, someone was shot. You know, we've had shootings in this area in our CRA, and I feel that we don't necessarily need to pay for the cloud, but having the cameras there and allowing the certain residents to pay for it. And I think that I spoke with our executive director about this, is that having a certain max limit on the assessed value of the homes, so that the people who are in homes that are above 250,000 will not be entitled to the first round of Ring cameras, and only if after everyone who under the, you know, whoever applies, whether we need to add funding because so many homes under 250,000 want Ring cameras, but it will be on a first come, first served basis.
Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. The Ring cameras are nice. The camera's just going to record. What we need in District 2 and the CRA is we need more police officers doing their jobs. And I would say to the chief and anybody else, Ring cameras are fine in recording and in shootings. I'm just saying they're prevalent anywhere. I'm just saying, but this is something that the police department and the city of Boynton need to be picking up.
Okay. Yes, Board Member Pensurga.
I really like the idea of these Ring cameras being put in the neighborhood. As far as we're allowed statutorily to purchase them, I think that's great. But I think this is also a whole lot more complicated than some of us may realize. There's so many questions that we need to ask and tease apart. For example, do we need the recording or do we not need to pay for the monthly recording? I would disagree. I think that's essential because a lot of crime are happening when you're not looking at your cell phone through the live stream. You're not always looking at your phone, watching your house. So at the moments when they really need it, recording is absolutely required. And number two, is our police department even right now capable or ready to handle this type of video feed? I hope they are, but I don't know. I haven't heard from the police chief or anybody in the department. I know we're building a real-time crime center, but I have no idea if this can even fit in. I hope it does, but I would like to hear from the chief and, you know, where they are on that. I'd be more than happy to consider a workshop level event because I think this is something I want to have in the community, but I think I want to flesh out all the details for this. So, yeah.
Board Member Romulus, then Board Member McCray.
Thank you.
I just want to advise my colleague to not make a mountain out of a molehill. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Really, again, the intent of this idea is to, when there are cameras and when people, especially criminals, know that they are being watched, we know that it deters crime. It won't stop crime altogether, but we know that it deters crime. The intention of this is for both to create a sense of accountability and also to help residents feel safe. That is the intention of this program. I just looked it up real quick to answer your question. The cost of the protection plan, monthly cost can be as low as $3 per month. So being that a Ring camera costs on average about $150 to $180, I think as a CRA, if we're willing to bulk purchase and provide these cameras free of cost to residents, if they so choose, because it is a voluntary thing, they can then choose themselves to take care of that $3 a month charge to keep the backup data. If they don't want to do that, they don't have to do that. But again, I think even just the very fact of having a camera that is installed on your door that you can then see when somebody doesn't even have to press your doorbell, as long as they're just passing by and the camera detects motion, it will notify you on your phone. And based on what the CRA director said, that data is kept on your phone for about 3 days. That's an adequate amount of time where if something did happen, we have access, where residents can tell us, oh, well, okay, here is the description of the car, or here's the description of the perpetrator, and they can share that with the police department if they so choose. So I don't want to make it where it's something that we have to incur more costs, especially if my colleague on my right here is concerned about, cost to the CRA. I don't want to have to incur more costs so that this project doesn't tank because of that, because I think this is an important project that I want to implement. And secondly, we do a lot of things where we have community charrettes and people come in and they give their advice and whatever. I don't want to turn this into a whole thing. It doesn't need to be all that. This is simply an opportunity for us to do what we are obligated to do as a CRA, which is to remove someone's blight, create safety in our communities, and help people feel proud of where they live and feel that they can leave their homes knowing that they still have an eye on their home. Their neighbors are helping them watch their home. This is the intent of the program and why I initially asked for the board to consider it. So I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill and try to make it more than it really needs to be.
Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. And in high crime areas, they have already stated to the city that they will have cameras in those areas that will be recording. And I'm just saying, I know your intent probably was good. I'm just saying it probably still is good. But I'm just saying, we're just trying to incur more little petty things, and then you're saying with a house, $250,000, I won't be able to get one. So, let's hear from the audience.
Yes, Susan, would you like to have comments?
Yeah, Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. My only thought to add to this is please remember that you need to have active working Wi-Fi to make these work, and that might be something you want to factor in. I know I'm always advocating free citywide Wi-Fi, but this might be an issue for some people in getting these cameras because they don't have Wi-Fi for their house, and that is probably defeating what it is you're looking to do. And I would also suggest that you look at some of the options out there. I know I use a Panasonic Home Hawk system that is similar. It's just a little camera by the front door, and it's under $100, and it still does all the same stuff, just without the doorbell. So that might be something for you all to consider. There are options besides Ring, and remember the Wi-Fi component of all this. Thank you.
Chair.
Yes, Board Member.
Address that.
We do actually have another member from the public that would like to speak.
Sure.
Couture Joseph, Long Beach CDC. Just as an example of how this is helpful, in one of our properties about 3 months ago where we have cameras, there was a crime that happened in the parking lot. The police came to our office and was able to retrieve the information to arrest the person, just as an example.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was waiting for your cue. To address Ms. Oyer's comments,
yes, we are creating this program with not just Ring in mind. Ring was what I initially mentioned, so we've been talking about Ring, but we will make sure that this is open to all companies, and that way we get the best offer and the best product to help do what we're trying to do. Secondly, in regards to the internet comment, this is perfect because working with the neighborhood police officers to implement this, we want to also educate the community in terms of there are programs that both Comcast and AT&T provide for low-income families where they can get internet as low as $10 a month if their children are on free or reduced lunch, or if they make a certain income, or if they're over a certain age. Seniors also are eligible. So this is something that if a resident wants a Ring camera and they don't have internet, we can now educate them and tell them, well, hey, you can get internet for $10 a month, and now this opens a whole panoply of opportunities for their children, for themselves, and everything else. So I believe this helps us kill several birds. Well, that's a bad analogy. It helps us accomplish a lot of things. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to kill birds, sorry. Done.
At this point of I think the Ring or some type of security camera program, what we look for now is approval of the overall NOP program, which is attached, and it has just a small reference to this idea of implementing this program during the fiscal year. Much like our other budgetary programs and projects, sometimes they get done and sometimes they're still in the process at the end of the fiscal year. We need the ILA. You've got the budget that's approved. As of October 1st, you know, the neighborhood officers themselves are beginning to incur costs. The city is incurring their costs. I think if you set aside, you can decide now on a monetary amount to add to the budget, which would be included in the ILA, adjusted, or you could have that project brought back to you once we have more information, and you could address funding at that time and amend the ILA or amend the program. You don't even have to do that, really. You could just approve that now.
All right, and the only other question I had is that in our ILA, it talks about SEPTED, Community Environmental Design, I forget what it stands for.
Security through environmental.
Policing through. Do we have funding for if one of our NOP officers need to get that sort of training?
Yes, it's in their budget.
Okay. So, I'll entertain a motion to approve with the Ring funding or not, because I'd rather have the Ring funding in, and that way but it's not something that has to be spent, and where our neighborhood officer program, I don't believe they have any sort of events.
I'm sorry?
They don't have any events for just our neighborhood officer program. They go to all of our events.
They go to all of our events, yes.
And so I think that's also something that we may want to discuss, is that choose one of our different events. I know that they have the substation over at Ocean Palm Plaza. Have them have that sort of use as a table for them to promote what they do to the community.
We offered that at every one of our
and
events,
so I'd like to have that sort of as part of the ILA, is that make sure that at least one of them, that they're not on duty being neighborhood officers, and more or less on duty educating the public of what they do, and having those Ring cameras at that as a distribution event. Board Member McCray.
Thank you. I'm in favor of approving this, but I'm in favor of approving it without the interlocal agreement. This is not the first time that we will have to come back with a contract that's been given to somebody and said that we like to amend now because we got more data. Let's do it the right way. I'm just saying, putting something in means almost like saying we're guaranteeing that we're going to do this. It's not the best interest. Just do it without it, and then when we get the information, bring it back and then say we need to amend this.
All right. Do I have a second?
What exactly is the motion?
The motion is to do the agreement without having the Ring camera in, and then they have to come back and we amend the interlocal agreement. We can do it then. I'm just saying, we do it all the time. It's nothing that, by putting it in, that means that we are authorizing to do something. I'm just saying, let's go out and find out what is the best use and the best bang for our bucks. I'm just saying, putting something in means like, we gave it our blessings. Let's come on.
I have a question.
Okay.
To Board Member McCray, what additional answers are you looking for? I'm just curious what it is that what you're seeking.
I'm seeking without saying that, we're going to put this there and saying about ring cameras. I'm just saying the interlocal agreement, when we get more data, meet with the chief and find out more things that we can do. It might be something that we might have overlooked. I'm just saying we can always amend the interlocal agreement. We do it all the time. It's not the end of the road.
All right.
Just
Yep, still waiting on a second. Board Member Romulus.
as a point of clarification, the police department is already doing a just much smaller version of this program where they have 10 Ring cameras that they purchased that they, I believe, gave out already at one of our recent events. So they're probably not going to bring back very much because this is already something that they are in favor of. I've already spoken to Chief personally, and they just wanted to see if, as a board, we would be in agreement with moving forward with a program like this and if we wanted to allocate funding. So that's just what I wanted to share.
You said you've already spoken to the chief? Is that right?
In regards to the creation of something like this, and like I said, they are already doing it on a smaller scale where they had purchased about 10 Ring cameras. They had given it out to local residents, and this would just be expanding that project and doing it on a larger scale.
Yes, Board Member
Thank
McCray.
you. Thank you. If they've already purchased 10 Ring cameras, where do they get the money from to purchase the 10? I'm just saying, what is the urgency? Let's just leave this alone until, we can always come back and do what we need to do. They purchased 10, let's see how the 10 work. I'm just saying, it's like, like we got something in this fight here. We don't have anything in it right now. Let's see what's going to come out of the 10 that they already purchased.
All right.
I will, first let me say that I fully support this concept. I'm completely with you. I think it's going to bring a great deal of peace of mind to the community. But I also have to agree with what Board Member McCray has just said. There is no rush. It's not the end of the road. And we're going to bring it back with additional comments from the chief, which is what I had said I would like earlier. And I will support it again when I have full information from the chief. But I don't want to do anything that involves security without input from our security experts. So I support it, and but I will have to second that motion for bringing it back.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on. So it was item B, option B. Okay, does that make sense? All right.
Yes, interlocal, no Ring camera program.
So yes, we are still working with the Boynton Beach Police Department. There is no non-vote.
Still a NOP program.
Yes. Consideration of the Economic Development Grant Program guidelines and application for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Yes, Board, as we do annually, we bring the Commercial Property Improvement Grant and the Rent Reimbursement Grant before you for your approval of the documents for the fiscal year. I don't know of any changes to the documents other than dates and deadlines that reflect the fiscal year. I know there was some discussion previously between our CRA legal and staff with our new statute, making sure that the rent reimbursement grant met the guidelines of the statute from an economic development standpoint. And I won't answer for Catherine, but if you'd like to tell them what your opinion was.
No, both of these grants should be fine under the statute. Even as it's amended, there are a few minor tweaks in the versions that you have, but it's not substantially changed. It was just clarifying a little wording, but both of these programs can stay.
I believe there was a substantial change regarding the security grant.
We just added the security camera as part of the list of things that they can apply that are eligible.
And so that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that existing businesses who received a grant within the last 5 years can still apply for that.
Oh, that would take a different motion.
Because that way, if they, there's a new grant available that they have not had, it would be under the same application. So
okay.
It's, probably not much that would need to change. But, I'd like to have it if the board is willing, so that the security grant, which is, I believe, a $5,000 match up to $10,000. Is that correct?
I don't think we specified a specific amount. You had discussed having an actual security system grant, but we went back with discussion that it's in, it's in the overall ineligible item, just like fencing, lighting, what have you. Not everyone's going to want to spend the money on the camera. So,
correct.
And we don't need to introduce another grant just for the cameras, an application and guidelines just for the security grant. It just becomes another eligible item. Your suggestion then, I mean, you can cap it if you want, but it's still a matching grant. If you wanted to say that if someone's coming in just for the security, then you're not going to spend more than X in eligible costs, that would be fine. You can do that. As of now, we don't have, although in your suggestion now, by bringing it retro to people who didn't take advantage of it before, I think it's worth putting a specific amount on it.
Correct, and that's what I was hoping the board would understand, that, for example, so this does not apply retroactively if they have already spent money on cameras to get reimbursed.
No, sir, correct.
It would just be for new cameras as of October 1st of 2019.
So it actually encourages them to do that, to put cameras up, which is what you've been talking about this evening.
And so does the board agree with that, having a matching cap of $5,000 for a $10,000 investment?
I need more information.
All right, basically so currently we included security cameras as part of our commercial exterior facade grant. What I'd like to do is allow businesses that have received those grants within the past 5 years to still be able to apply for this new grant that we're including for the safety of the CRA district.
I get that part. So you're asking for us to create a separate grant in order for them to do that?
No, I'm asking that they would be not precluded to receive that grant. For example, when we gave another economic development grant to Common Grounds, they had to ask for a waiver because we gave money within the past 5 years to Yoga Fit.
Right.
So in order for us to do that, we have to put a quantity for how much we're willing to give in terms of the security cameras? Yes,
that would come back?
Yes, this is only for the businesses that have got a commercial exterior facade grant within the past 5 years.
How many businesses have we, for the last 5 years, have received the facade grant?
Did Vicki leave?
In the 30s at least, 30 or 40, I would say, in the last 5 years.
30 or 40 times 4, 5,000, that's $200,000. No.
Well, it's part of our economic development grant fund, which we have the $200,000 rolling over.
This needs to be studied.
In listening to the conversation, I think that because you're not talking about increasing your maximum grant to include new money for security. I would not want the CRA's dollars to be spent on security cameras, let's say $5,000 or $8,000. If there's no maximum, then somebody might not paint the building or might not put landscaping, but they might put cameras. So I think we don't want to de-incentivize the facade improvement, but I'd like the idea of being able to provide funding for an element that is important, but that was not previously an eligible item. I mean, all you're doing is making an eligible item. So you can, rather than having a separate grant, you could cap that amount that could apply to the security. So you can say of that $50,000 or $25,000 grant, you won't reimburse more than $3,000 worth of expenses of the security. Right? So then they're still spending the other amount of money on physical improvements that people see driving by, because you wouldn't see it driving by, Cam.
And I'm okay with that.
Are you okay with that language?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So then would that allow then for previous businesses who had gotten our commercial reimbursement grants to then come back and get up to that cap.
If they didn't,
If you approve that as part of the program,
They would be able to come back and get that
Yes,
grant of up to
you're
3,000 for
ba-
security cameras.
yes.
Yes.
If that's part of if you make that as part of your motion, yes.
Okay.
Now, Twee brought up an interesting, and I don't think we really need to overthink it, but you need to consider it, or I would like to bring it to your attention now as opposed to later. What if a person maxed out their grant and now they're coming
That's
back?
what I'm saying.
Are they eligible for additional funding for security?
The answer would be no.
No.
Okay, great.
So it's only for businesses that did not max out
Okay.
the commercial exterior facade
Thanks,
grant.
I didn't want to start pulling on the yarn.
I agree.
All right.
Moved. Do we need a motion?
Yes, we do. May I have a motion to approve as amended?
Just did. So moved.
No, thank you. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, great.
New business discussion and consideration of reimbursement request for Northeast 12th Avenue infrastructure improvements.
So moved.
Second.
The only thing that I have is what is the amount?
The item before you has been brought to the CRA with a not to exceed $20,000 as it's reimbursable to the CDC or Habitat when they submit for that reimbursement. This is for the water and sewer connections for affordable housing on Northeast 12th Avenue that does not currently exist, and the city does not have a program in the utility department to pay for that hookup.
All right. The only thing that I'd ask of the board is that a part of the condition of approval that we request, not demand, that both the Habitat for Humanity and the Boynton Beach Faith-Based CDC come to one of our events as a vendor, if that's possible.
What do you mean come to one of our events as a vendor?
So basically, for example, our Rock the Plaza events, or or our event at the marina, I think would probably be the best because we own that property. That they come and have a tent available or table to show us what they're doing. For example, people that are interested in doing Habitat for Humanity may get the information there to start, and the same with the CDC. So I'd like to request them, not demand, so they don't have to come. But if they'd like to, come to one of our marina events and help educate the public.
Well,
Okay.
Joseph is here and thinks she can speak and tell us what she thinks about that.
All right.
Okay, and I don't think we need to add that in the motion, so.
Well, no, because otherwise they're not part of the CRA district, and so I think we would need to make it as a condition.
Even if we're not demand, I don't understand how that works.
I'm just saying they need
So I'll let the attorney explain. If we have a
If you're making it a condition, you're saying that it's obligatory.
Right, and they said yes, so we'll make it a condition then.
I think that there's concern because we don't generally bring nonprofits in to do those types of events or educate the public, and they're not located within the CRA district. I think that's what the board chair is trying to get acknowledged. It's not something we do all the time. It is not something that we're encouraging outside nonprofits to come and set up tents and tables and educate the public. The CRA can't accommodate that type of a request from outside. But in this particular case, for this particular event, we can set up a space for them to do that if they so choose to be there. Does that help clarify?
So it's okay to add it as a condition of the motion, is what you're saying?
The approval for them to be there can be acknowledged, but you're not making it conditioned on them
Right,
being
and you're almost more making it part of your offer to them rather than their acceptance.
Right. But then when we, by saying that and by saying that they can do that if they'd like, I believe that you're making a specific gesture to these two nonprofits who aren't located within our district to come and participate in that event, but not every nonprofit in every other event. This is a very specific request.
The fact is that we're giving them up to $20,000 so that they can build the residential units.
Yes, to educate
as part of that
housing.
consideration of us, we're asking for their time and marketing materials to educate the CRA district of the buildings that they're building in our area.
Okay.
You can just include it in your motion as a request if you don't want to frame it as a condition. That would
that's
be
fine.
acceptable.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to include that request.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Any discussion on the future agenda items? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yep.
He is adjourned.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.